we're rolling. Welcome everyone to another video. This week's paper that we will be analyzing is titled Brain Waste Removal System in Sleep, Photobiomodulation as an Innovative Strategy for Night Therapy of Brain Diseases. Yep, they're going to be using light to treat brain diseases. So you have your authors right here. And this was published in the Internal Journal of Molecular Sciences on the year 2023. So the abstract for this paper is, this review highlights new trends in photobiomodulation of the brain waste removal system slash meningeal lymphatic vessels during deep sleep as a breakthrough technology for the effective removal of waste and unnecessary compounds from the brain in order to increase the neuroprotection of the CNS as well as to prevent or delay various brain diseases. That was a mouthful. So what if your brain had a self-cleaning mode that only turns on while you sleep? And what if shining a specific wavelength of light on your head could make that cleaning system work even better? That's exactly what scientists are investigating, and that's what we're going to be talking about in this week's video. So just tune in and relax, and let's get right into it. Can light help clean your brain while you sleep? So right here I have a visual of what that therapy might look like. Now, this is not a actual device that was used within this paper. This is just kind of like a visual idea of what these devices look like. So it's a helmet, and then it's fixed on your head, and you have little diodes that are placed in different areas within your scalp, and they basically would emit a near infrared light towards your scalp to try to essentially try to cure you, but I will explain how that process works as we dive deeper into the video. All right, your brain isn't just chilling when you sleep, especially in deep sleep. That's slow wave sleep specifically. That slow wave sleep basically activates what's called a lymphatic system. So in your brain, you have the blood system, the cardiovascular system that you know, and you also have the lymphatic system. So the cardiovascular system does what it does usually. It helps with metabolism, it helps with waste removal, it helps with kind of revitalizing the brain and giving it the energy it needs to function and do its daily thing. Lymphatic system usually comes on at night when you go to bed. It's more associated with cleaning up after daily use. So you clean up some metabolites, the molecular waste that comes from everyday activities, and it would essentially just flush all that stuff off from all the synaptic areas and put it into the waste removal system so that it can be disposed of through the kidneys. And usually this tends to happen when you're in deep sleep. When you avoid deep sleep, your brain is not able to go into this system. And usually there's been many studies that have been done. I think you've heard of, and somebody's heard of the Stanford prison experiment, where they kind of kept people up for a couple of days, and usually a lot of bad things happen when that happens. So it's very important that we all get our deep sleep. But it's kind of weird because we've been doing this thing for a long time, but the understanding of it is still very fresh. We don't understand how it really works, and we don't know how this is it when this goes bad. Why is it that it causes the diseases that come, the diseases that come, not from it, but how these diseases arise based on a history of not being able to achieve this function, which is sleeping. So you have somebody who has Alzheimer's disease. There've been numerous studies that have proven that they don't go into deep sleep very often. So if they're not going to deep sleep, then this system is not activated and it's not able to clear out the things that it's supposed to clear out. So the next day you have even more things that are built up, making it harder for the person to even go back to sleep the night again. So it just becomes a very, very, very dangerous cycle. What happens when you don't sleep? So one massive study tracked about 8,000 people for 25 years. These are people in their 50s and 60s who were getting less than 6 hours. They found out that these people were more likely to get dementia later. So even one single night of no sleep jacks up amyloid beta, meaning it increases the amount of amyloid beta within the synaptic area. It's a sticky brain plaque linked to Alzheimer's disease that we have already talked about, and this is in healthy young people. This was found in healthy young people. sleep problems aren't just feeling tired. Scientists now call it an independent risk factor for cognitive decline. Your brain is literally drowning in its own garbage. So it's something to think about. There seems to be a growing body of evidence that believe that sleep disturbance is an independent risk factor for cognitive impairment. Okay, so here's light therapy. Now here's where it gets weird and also kind of awesome. So, photobiomodulation, or TPBM, fancy way of saying shine near infrared light on your head, is a type of therapy that it's a type of light therapy that is used to stimulate tissues, usually non-invasively. So, you're looking at 600 to 1300 nanometer wavelengths. If it's too short, the wavelengths will scatter too much and the light won't be as focused, in which case some of the tissues can even absorb some of that tissue, some of that light, so it won't really capture the tissue that you want. But if it's too high, it will start to kind of cause harm and burn or heat up the tissue. So you want it at a Goldilocks range, and that range is between 600 to 1300 nanometers. So basically, how to do it is they fix little LED diodes or light or laser lights into small things that can fit through such a little space like this, essentially, and they basically calibrated at the 600 to 1300 nanometer range and shine it through the scalp without causing any type of they don't have to cut the skin, or they don't have to essentially even cut your hair usually. In some cases, it kind of depends on what the skin tone might be, because it's been shown that darker skin tones have a little bit more trouble allowing the diodes or allowing the lasers in. So it has to be calibrated to the skin tone as well as how thick the hair is. But usually that's just how it is. It's very non-invasive and this has nothing to do with entering the scalp. But we want to talk about how does this thing work. So we know how it looks like. We know how it functions, sort of. So how does this thing work? So TPBM causes the dilation of lymphatic vessels, which allows the brain waste process to be stimulated. Dilation of lymphatic vessels, which allows the brain waste process to be stimulated. So when I was talking about lymphatic system and how it basically clears out the debris, the metabolites, the waste of the body, usually when you have brain diseases, the system is kind of corrupted and is not able to function the way it usually will function. So you need something like this to come and stimulate it, and that's how it does it. It essentially will stimulate, and that's how it. And you need something to come in here and ensure that you have a good amount of sleep. And to do that, you need to stimulate the lymphatic system. So the lymphatic system basically boosts nitric oxide, a vasodilator, gets the pummeling moving, and in mouse studies with 1080 nanometers light, it activated macroglia, which are the cleanup cells, and cleared out amyloid beta plaques. It also helps with angiogenesis. Angiogenesis is the creation of new blood vessels, which basically allows better blood flows, basically turning on the brain's janitor crew at turbo speed. I put a little visual here to kind of just imitate what this slide may be. This is just based on what Grok thinks I was talking about here in this slide. So just gonna, this is a little dramatic visual for y'all. Anyways, you can just imagine that this is what you want to be doing to your brain every time you go to sleep. You know, you're revitalizing it, you're removing all the stuff that came from the previous day, all the waste. If you had any embarrassing moments that happened, hopefully you can, all the stress that came from that can be eliminated from your brain so you can restart on the next day. Moving on. So what does the research say? So I have clipped up a couple of paragraphs from this study specifically to just explain exactly what was happening in the paper and what they found. Most of the strong data is still from animal models and early human studies. The paper we're pulling from is promising but calls for way more human trials, especially with sleep tracking devices that don't wake you up. This isn't a cure Alzheimer's tomorrow type of thing, but the potential, cleaning waste, helping recovery from strokes, trauma, even brain tumors. It's non-invasive and cheap to build. It's pretty good. Um, there's also another interesting here where the thing about that the art that the authors found about The most recent anti-amyloid beta drug called aducanumab, they found that 35% of those patients tended to get vasogenic edema. So it seems like the FDA is going to send it back to the building blocks, and they're going to make them basically do another FDA travel. So with the fact that this is the most promising drug in the market right now, Alzheimer's disease is not working properly, it seems that it's better time than any to kind of start exploring this one too, because it's we've just been looking at clearing or or defeating this disease through pills and more conventional ways of treating people, but we have to start thinking outside the box. We have to start about thinking about non-invasive ways that we can treat it any other way that we can treat this disease. So at least these artists pointed that out and made it showcase how important it is to 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 view this type of therapy as a way to treat Alzheimer's disease. So the research is in its infancy still. There are pioneering and promising results suggesting that night TPPM stimulates the lymphatic removal of AB from the mouse brain, so more effectively than daily TPPM, and is associated with a great improvement of the neurological status and recognition memory in animals. There's a hypothesis that TPPM modulates the tone and permeability of the lymphatic endothelium by stimulating NO, which is nitric oxide formation, promoting the lymphatic clearance of waste toxins from brain tissues. It is assumed that TPPM can also lead to angio and angiogenesis, which might be another mechanism responsible for TPPM mediated stimulation of the brain waste removal system. So it on top of it also causing the increase of the development of new vessels. It can also cause the increase of development of new lymphatic vessels, which are important in the clearing system. So this is kind of like an end all be all type of thing where it just because it's able to like help us with maybe clearing treating some of the diseases, it also has the potential to also maximize um, or kind of biohack our sleep so that we can optimize it and ensure that we can have a more restful and deep sleep. So, could popping on a light helmet while you sleep be the future of brain health? We need more research. But optimizing a deep sleep with this kind of tech could be massive. If you're into biohacking sleep, just like I said earlier, or just scared of losing your mind when you're old, drop a like. See if you want to try this. It's worth a shot. The idea sounds almost like science fiction, but it's grounded in real neuroscience. While photobiomodulation isn't ready to replace current treatments, it could become an exciting way or support the brain's natural cleaning system during sleep. More human studies will tell us whether this is the best way to go forward. But yeah, thanks for tuning in again. Try to make this video as short as possible, hopefully. Yeah, so please, guys, if you want to go ahead and just drop a comment and let me know how I can improve my videos. I'm really new to this YouTube thing, so I want to make it so that it's more engaging and more simple. I want to simplify these neuroscience topics. So if there's any way that I can do that, that you have an idea that you can help me with, go ahead and just drop a comment and let me know. All right, I hope you guys have a great day, and thanks for tuning in again. Bye.